All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We greatly appreciate you spending some time with us and supporting the local economy by supporting the Consumer Quarterback Show here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We've got Tom Rydberg coming up, DK Mortgage, as well as Ben Decker on deck, AC guy of Tampa Bay. Before we do, we want to feature our listings. We like to feature our real estate listings for our sellers and help our sellers profit more and sell faster. 2131 Park Street North, St. Petersburg. We've got a newly renovated property here at 2131 Park Street North in beautiful St. Petersburg, Florida. This one is 1,600 plus square feet, 3 bedrooms, 2 bath. You got a bonus sunroom as well, located on an oversized lot, huge garage, additional storage, quartz countertops, stainless steel appliances, beautiful remodel job, and it could be a great rental, short-term rental potential as well. 2131 Park Street North, St. Petersburg, Florida, Pinellas County, and we'd love to feature your listing on our show. Just reach out to the hotline 813-917-1894, and we can feature your real estate listing live on air as well. We got a new property here also at 10415 Main Street in Thonotosassa. This one is another just a really awesome opportunity for a buyer to look at 5 acres of land, commercially zoned, 5 acres, corner lot location, minutes from the Tampa Bay area as well. It's in Thonotosassa. Incredible development potential and a great return on investment opportunity. 10415 Main Street, Thonotosassa, Florida. You can see all of our real estate listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com. All right, Tom Rydberg, welcome back, sir.
Hey, good to be back.
Hey, my pleasure. Thanks for coming in. What's new on your side of the desk?
I'd say the last week, a lot of data has been coming out. I've seen a big uptick in my phone ringing in contracts, so I think people are getting used to these higher rates, and seeing them come down a little bit has definitely sparked some activity. I think they know that, hey, prices are adjusted, they're not going to crash, and they don't want to miss the boat when there's an opportunity to get into something that is going to be a great long-term investment. So That's been kind of interesting, and it's fun to be working at night again, and maybe on the weekends having to answer phones and get back. So it's a fun time of the year.
So an uptick in calls. Has the industry seen an uptick in mortgage applications also?
They had. So I would say in the last couple of weeks they were. I don't, not to brag, I think I have more activity than the average loan officer. So I've been seeing that. I've made some great contacts.
Well, yeah, you got to brag these days.
And
man,
I love it. So I know a lot of my colleagues are struggling in other parts of the country. It's not quite the same as Florida. I will say the last week now, they're coming out with data on a weekly basis. So applications fell a little bit in the last 5 days after that employment report, which you and I have talked about, the validity of it. But I think that there's a little bit of a pause. So we're looking at long-term trend over the rest of this year's rates should continue to come down from where they peaked 3 or 4 months ago, but it's not going to go in a straight line. So, they're looking at inflation data that came out today was a little bit hotter than what they were expecting. Still lower than where it was a year ago, but not quite as good as they had hoped. So we're in a little bit of a pause. And I think you're going to continue to see rates maybe 30 days from now start to trickle back down again.
Yeah, it's interesting. I want to look at the MLS stats as well.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at active listings from January year over year. So looking at January 22 versus now, there's 39,680, and this is throughout the entire Mid-Florida Regional MLS, the MLS stats. We're up 112 active listings from January of last year. So January of last year, look at that. Think about this perspective: 18,000 listings compared to 39,000 listings.
Yeah.
Right. So there's more inventory. Okay, new listings. Let's go to pending sales. Pending sales is actually down 18% from 1 year ago, as far as pending sales. So that's down from 22,591 to 18,560 in January. So pending sales are down, and then listings sold is down as well. 33% listings sold.
Yeah, so I love your stats because they're local, right? We get bombarded with all these national stats. So that's our backyard. We can really wrap our head around that. So what do you think has those numbers reflective of? People are just on the fence, just still kind of waiting, or you think that people that there's just more coming to the market, and it's taking longer to close.
Yeah, what's happening, I believe, is that you're seeing that with the rates cooling, or peak that we saw going
Yep.
up, and then now, like, I'm glad to hear that they're leveling off, coming down. What happens is you look at the average daily days on market. They're up 105% from January 2022. So more days on market.
Yep.
So that property's taking longer to sell. What happens is you've got top agents, like with Keller Williams. We have these mastermind groups that we're in, and we're talking to the top 20% in all the different offices. And what we're doing is we're reducing between 3 to 5% every 14 days. Mm-hmm. And a lot of other companies and brokerages will do that. So what happens is, those properties are reducing every 14 days or so until they find that sweet spot with the buyer. And,
right.
Yesterday I made 4 or 5 price reductions out of my 60 plus listings. And you know what's funny? The next day you get activity.
Right. I was just going to say, you see an immediate impact on that.
You do.
Because everyone they're watching, right? So they're trying to figure out where's the sweet spot.
Exactly.
And they don't want to wait too long. Like, all right, this dropped. It may not be here for another drop.
That's right.
Want to, jump on it.
I teach a class called Win with Sellers. How to I taught in Sarasota last week too. So,
right.
Win with Sellers is, how to take listings, how to service the client, how to get the deals done, how to have the actual listing presentation, pre-listing presentations. And, when I talk about that, it's days on market are the enemy to a real estate listing.
Yep.
So days on market are going to kill you. And then let's look at average sales price. Now, this is where it gets interesting, and you look at a delay. People like us that are in the trenches of real estate, battling every day, so to speak, right? If you look at average sales price, it is actually up from last year. Okay, it's talking about January, because here we are in February, right?
Yep.
So what's going to happen, though, that number, it's up 7% from January of 2022, 430,000 average sales price right now. 403 back a year ago.
Got it.
But the reason why is because those sales that closed in December are reported in January, right? All that data is reporting. And then now what happened, what we just talked about, price reductions. Okay, so all these price reductions that are happening, those deals are going to turn to pending, and then some of those are going to go closed. And then what happens in March and April is now the data is recorded, and then you see what's going to happen. The numbers are going to come down because those prices have dropped, right?
But they're doing year-over-year comparisons as well.
Yes.
Right? So they're going to compare from last spring. And where did things peak last year?
Probably they started downturning.
July?
Trying to remember. Yeah, somewhere.
Kind of like the July's time.
Yeah.
Right. So just like they're looking at those inflation numbers from year over year, they can be a bit deceiving. You have to be a little bit careful. So is listing too high? Is that the most common
That's the
mistake?
number one. That's the number one problem that people have, is they want to list too high, and then you end up chasing the market.
Right.
You become a bounce house. Not the one the kids jump in and bounce around. Your house is but the bounce house, because people say, "Oh wow, boom, let's bounce right off of that and go look at one that's priced appropriate."
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I see it all the time.
We're talking with Tom Rydberg here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. DK Mortgage, local area expert contributor for all things mortgage and finance. And talk a little bit about your processes and who you're looking to help and what type of programs you have too, Tom.
Yeah, no, thanks. So we're a mortgage banker, licensed all over the country, which is great. Gives us a lot of convenience. We'll get people that are looking to purchase in Florida. They may have a home back in Ohio. They're not sure what they want to do with that. So sometimes it makes sense. In fact, I have a client right now. They're buying a second home in Naples. And because of the way they price these loans now, if you don't have a big down payment, you really get hurt on the fees and on your rate. So we're able to tap into his property in Illinois, pull some of that equity. He owned it free and clear, and kind of give him the best of both worlds.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So I think that flexibility is big. I'll tell you, there's a lot of trends going on right now with mortgages. You and I have talked about mortgage insurance and some of the, confusion consumers have. PMI, right? Private mortgage insurance is really, it's to the consumer's benefit. I know it's a fee. Nobody wants extra fees, but it really gives you the flexibility to buy a home with 3%, 5% down, instead of the old days where you had to put 20, 25% down to buy a property.
Right.
And that mortgage insurance insures the lender against default, which gives them, more flexibility, and it gets you a better interest rate than if mortgage insurance wasn't available.
And can't you remove that also after a certain amount of time and appraisal?
Yeah, so primary residence, It automatically falls off once you have 22% equity. No idea why it's 22.
They want to make sure it's over 20.
Exactly. Now you can proactively. I never tell a client, hey, wait till it automatically drops off, because your real estate should be appreciating at the same time.
Right.
So you want to be proactive once a year. We'll do a reminder. We counsel past clients what's going on with the market and remind them, hey, you still got the PMI, check with your servicer. You might be able to get rid of that. But we talked last 2 weeks ago about the importance of starting early credit scores based on loan programs and interest rates. But the PMI, the mortgage insurance, is highly affected by your credit score.
Right.
So, putting 3% down and having a 680 credit score, you're going to pay a lot for mortgage insurance on the private sector. If you're putting 15% down and you have 800 credit, it's almost nothing. You're not even going to notice it. So another reason to really stay on top of credit.
I want to touch on two things. National Association of Home Builders, new home starts. There were 1.31 million homes started in January. That's down 4.5% from December and down 21.4% year over year from January 2022. Single-family home starts totaled 841,000 in the month, down 4.3%. Total permits were flat month over month, but down 27% from last year. So that's relating to new housing and development. And then another bottleneck that we're seeing, and that's good for existing homeowners because less inventory means, hey, there's more demand. But I wanted to talk to you in our final minute or so here on rent versus own. People that are renting, they're throwing money away. They're not building up equity. They're not having the tax advantages. You don't have the family pride that you would have. Talk to me a little bit about rent versus own.
Well, I think some people are in situations where they're not sure where they want to be in their career, geographically, whatever, and maybe that's a necessity. It's not always a bad thing, but for the overwhelming majority, if you're where you want to be, home ownership is, I think it accounts for 80% of people's, net wealth, later in life. So the sooner you can start, I think the better. And there's so many programs out there to help you, whether you need down payment assistance or you need now in a lot of moderate and low income areas, you get preferred pricing. So you get a better interest rate than somebody else would because they really are passionate about helping people get into home ownership.
Yeah.
So, again, we've talked about the intimidation of, if you don't have a family of homeowners, right? If that's not part of your upbringing, you're not sure where to start. And it can start with just a phone call or just an email. Don't feel like one phone call you're committing yourself to buying a house. Just let's review the credit, review a budget. And I think people are shocked. Yeah. Still, you don't need 20% down. And your housing payment can be lower owning than it is renting.
Yeah, absolutely. Get the game plan in place. It might be a 6 month or a year thing or more, and just get that plan rolling. Reach out to the hotline. We'd love to talk to you. Put you in touch with Tom Rydberg, DK Mortgage. We're at 813-917-1894. Just call or text. Tom will put you into a rent versus own analysis as well, like a spreadsheet that will break it down for you. 813-917-1894. And, of course, consumerqb.com. You can submit an email form there on the website, consumerqb.com. brimes@kw.com. Tom, thanks for coming in, man. Appreciate it. You got social handles? You want people to find you on social too, or website?
Yeah, Facebook is always, that's a big one. LinkedIn, Tom Rydberg, mortgage professional. Emails closefaster@gmail.com. That's an easy one.
Closefaster@gmail.com.
Amen.
That's an easy one.
Yeah, it is.
Good stuff, man. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, good seeing you.
Appreciate you. All right, taking a quick break. Got a feel-good story of the day, and Ben Decker coming up, AC guy of Tampa, one of our local area business that we love to support. Couple that met during chance encounter on a plane celebrate 40th wedding anniversary. Feel-good story coming up here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Mortgage loans are subject to approval based on program guidelines, borrower's credit, and underwriting approval. Tom Rydberg, NMLS ID number 221474 and Florida number LO20395 is an agent of Draper and Kramer Mortgage Corporation. NMLS ID number 2551 and Florida MLD 494, an equal housing opportunity lender.